Hello photographers, how's it going? Fuji has given us three different lenses to look at for the 50 millimeter in full frame perspective. That includes the 35 1.4, the 35 f2, and then the kind of newer 33 1.4, right? All three lenses have some really cool benefits to them and also some negatives. We're going to look at those. I'm going to show you some examples, and then I'm going to tell you which one that I would keep if I only had to pick one of the three. First up is the 35mm f2. At $400 and weather sealed with a small profile, this lens is legit. I really like this lens. It makes a fantastic candidate for any Fuji camera because of its excellent image quality and its small size. The build quality is really solid, and I've never been disappointed with any of the photos taken with it. The quality is really outstanding, sharpness, everything. It also has some great features for the price, including weather resistance and very fast and silent autofocus. It's a lens that makes me confident it's going to do what I want it to do every single time. The only drawback, if you call it a drawback, is that the maximum aperture is f2. Honestly, for most situations, that's just fine. But in comparison to the other two lenses, it does allow less light into the camera, and it doesn't have quite as creamy background blur. I really love this lens on smaller Fuji cameras like the XE4. It feels fine on all of the cameras, but matches up beautifully on smaller bodies. For me, this is a great lens for everyday use. The 35 1.4 is next, coming at $600, but it does not have weather sealing. This lens is one that many Fuji users have loved for years. However, it's more expensive than the f2 version. It's not weather resistant, and it focuses much more slowly and is noisier to focus. While it's a little bigger than the f2 version physically, it's actually very light, making it a really good candidate for any Fuji X series body. The main draw of this lens is the wide aperture, giving the photographer more light to work with and allowing them to blur the background more than the f2 version. The 35 1.4 gets a lot of positive reviews, and that rightfully so. Many users call it magical and unique, and I can personally say that it takes really amazing images. The problem for me, what I can't ignore, is that the focus issues with this lens, even on newer bodies, just has let me down a few too many times. With the autofocus hunting a bit in situations that didn't seem too extreme, I just wasn't able to have the confidence with this lens like I get with the other two lenses. But again, the images are really nice. If you don't need fast autofocus and can spend more time with each shot, I think it's a great option. It's a little bigger than the f2 lens and much lighter than the 33 1.4, so it does pack a lot of punch for the size and cost. The newest of the three is the 33mm 1.4, and it comes at a much steeper price at $900. However, it's got weather resistance and an autofocus system that is super quiet and scary fast. Seriously, like when I first took this thing out of the box and started focusing, I honestly thought there might be something wrong with it. It was locking focus so quickly and quietly, like I wasn't even sure if it was doing anything. This is the lens that combines the best of both worlds from the 35mm versions. It's fast and quiet like the f2, but it has a wide aperture like the 35 1.4. It's just a little bit bigger, heavier, and more expensive. As you can see, you can't really go wrong with any of these lenses. All three of them are incredible. They're incredible for different reasons. So the 35 1.4, for instance, has amazing image quality. It's just a little slower. It doesn't have weather sealing. And if you don't really care about super fast focus speed, you're not going to take it out into the rain. It's a really nice one. The image quality is outstanding, right? The 35 f2 is also really good. It's maybe not quite as spectacular image-wise. It doesn't blow you away like the other two lenses. But overall, for the price and the build quality and, you know, the weather sealing, the way it feels on most of the Fuji cameras, especially the small ones, it's really amazing. It's a nice lens. I'm definitely keeping that one for when I want to have a low-profile lens to take around. But the one that I'm excited about is the 33 1.4. This thing's build quality is incredible. The image quality is as good as anything I've seen from any of the manufacturers. It's really something else. And I think it's also future-proof. Supposedly, Fuji made this and the new 23 and the new 18 to kind of go along with their next generation of Fuji X cameras coming out this year and next year probably. And I think it's probably worth the money. I love the 50mm focal length. It's a classic in photography. It's what I learned on my Pentax K1000 with the 50mm 1.7. And this thing reminds me of those days of seeing the world in 50mm and getting just outstanding image quality. So my recommendation is to get the one that you want the most. But if you have the money, this thing's pretty amazing and future-proof probably. As usual, go ahead and ask me questions in the comments. I'll try to answer as best I can, and I hope you have fun shooting today or tomorrow or whenever you can go out and shoot next.